And just because I believe in the basics, which apply for most people, doesn't mean that specialized athletes cannot or should not engage in exercises that are highly specialized. Gregory from Lebe here. Welcome to our Kettlebell Coach Review series. In these videos, I review, give my opinion, and share constructive feedback about popular kettlebell workouts as well as popular kettlebell coaches. If you have anyone that I should react to that is kettlebell related, then let me know in the comments. If this is your first time on our YouTube channel, we're about all things kettlebell. We have been certified by accredited kettlebell institutions, and we work with people in real life to help them discover the power and the potential of kettlebell training. I'm very passionate about the kettlebell, so if I am a little bit critical, it's not about bashing the coach. It's all about giving you an educational perspective on kettlebell training.
Today, we're gonna go over a couple of kettlebell exercises that you can utilize for rotational power, and if you use it in the right methods, you can increase power endurance. So let's get into it.
I'm really looking forward to this. What I like about Phil is that he uses the same types of beats in his videos from Epidemic Music like I do, so we share the same taste. I already like him.
So first one we're gonna do is a kettlebell hip shift. Now this can be done for a warm-up or an activation tool, but it also can be done for conditioning and also just to get the body set for movements that are going to be conducive to gait patterning or locomotion, but it also is good for rotational power because of the muscles that you're utilizing. So
the first thing that I can already tell is that Phil knows his stuff. He understands how the hips work. He understands how to engage in mobility aspects or just awareness exercises to open up the hips. And I'm not a professional when it comes to boxing and fighting and striking power, but I do understand that you have to use a lot of rotational power coming from the hips. So he addresses it properly, and I like what he does with the kettlebell. I really like this exercise.
A slightly heavier kettlebell. We don't want too heavy, but we definitely don't want too light. We want to be able to feel it. So he's going to hip shift into his one hip there. Yeah. Opposite arm's going to hold the kettlebell close to his thigh. Yeah. As he goes to shift the other way, he's going to drop and catch. Yeah. Shift the other way, drop and catch.
It's a great idea to open up those hips. You see, most of us are always tight in the hips. That's something that you see as soon as people engage in a goblet squat, for example, or just in front squats in general, where you have to really point your toes out, push your knees out to make sure that the hip has enough space and your upper body is able to stand upright, stay upright. And then people are tight in the hips. But it's also some ankle mobility issues that some people are having, but that's another topic. But I really like this idea because when you do exercises like this, you actually, when you're always sitting, you always have your feet close. So if you have something with a little bit of weight to open up the hip, which he already addresses, then maybe help you in your walking gait or even a running pattern. Science even shows that if you engage with weights, this already stretches your muscles. And that's a great tool. This exercise is a great tool to engage, use the science that is available, use a proper exercise, and then really open up those hips.
All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and progress this, and we're gonna be doing a hip shift swing. So now, as he goes into the hip shift, he's gonna catch that kettlebell and then swing up. So he's getting extension, and then he's going to switch to the other side, flexion, extension, flexion, extension. Again, loading the glute med, loading up the adductors, and then also getting some hip extension too as well. So good. More hips, more hips.
Yeah,
extend
that's
the
what
hips,
I saw.
extend, now switch.
I like it.
Extend, now switch.
That's what I was seeing as well. That's not easy to do because you're shifting your weight onto one side and still have to work on your hip extension. That's, I think, and also a great exercise for your brain. So I understand where he's coming from, and he's using a fairly heavier kettlebell. In that case, you're still working in different planes of motion while not going too hard on it. So normally when you work it with a swing, you work in the sagittal plane. But in this case, you also engage in the frontal plane a little bit, which when people are doing front as side lunges, this would actually, in my opinion, would be a better exercise to kind of engage in that frontal plane if you want to, than using side lunges with full weights.
What we're gonna do is a coil to press. Now he's gonna get into a deep lunge position. So he's gonna coil.
And just as a quick side note, I watched this video, I checked out this third exercise, and I was like, I'm not sure with this. But the way he explains it makes sense. And then you can give me a great explanation as to why you're using it, then I can follow you. Even though I always say I'm the basics guy, what he's applying right now. I'm gonna share in the end what I believe what he is applying and why he is probably the right person to apply these type of exercises.
You're also working on the hips and you're working on the muscles of the transverse plane. So muscles of the trunk, you're talking about obliques, transverse abdominals, all right? He's also working on his ability to rotate, which is really important when you're talking about striking for combat sports. So
yeah, so that's where I understood where he's coming from, because you have to understand how to generate force in your side as well as your hips, and then really release that power and go into this striking power where you need that rotational force, where I do understand where he's coming from.
So we coil over the knee side.
He loads it.
As he goes to press,
and then boom,
internal rotation on the stance leg, swing leg comes out.
And I think that's a great exercise as well. Oh.
Good.
He even rotates the kettlebell, right?
Rotate.
So that's probably because when you rotate your arm, maybe that's how you punch. I'm not an expert when it comes to striking, how to do the striking, but I think that's the reason why he turns the kettlebell on top. And this makes a lot of sense to me. This makes sense from a punching perspective, and loading it, which I believe is also a very great awareness exercise for fighters to understand. How can I load my lats, my obliques, my sides, and my hips, and engage in that full rotational power? What I think Phil is engaging in with these exercises are SPP2 exercises. In Russian terminology, they say in sports performance, when you listen to Pavel Tatsulin, which makes a lot of sense and it's interesting to follow, is the first thing that you have is GPP, your general physical preparation. That means you do exercises that give you a lot of transfer to your sport. Or then you do SPP1. That will be the fighting in general, if you're a fighter, the training on the mat. And then this is specific or special physical preparation. And then you have SPP2. And these are special physical preparation exercises like these, because they apply to the sport. And I believe they have to be done under supervision from an elite coach. The athlete has to be an elite athlete. So applying these exercises, I believe why I mentioned why Phil is the right person, because he knows the fighting game and combines it with kettlebells, which is powerful stuff. So I learned some stuff from it, and it's always great to listen to people who are specialized in that regard. And so then people will tell me, well, usually you're always for the basics, so why are you saying that these are valid? Because it's SPP2. So that's the point that I was trying to make. And just because I believe in the basics, which apply for most people, doesn't mean that specialized athletes cannot or should not engage in exercises that are highly specialized, as long as they're guided under an elite coach, which, according to my impression, Phil most definitely is. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it, consider subscribing if you want to see more kettlebell content. And if you're looking for a kettlebell program that builds you up from a beginner to a slowly advanced trainee in the course of about 3 months, and you maybe want to combine it with some easy to follow nutrition coaching, because maybe you want to lose weight or you want to get in shape, then check out 90 Days of Kettlebells. You'll find the link in the description. 14-day free trial included.